What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video we're going to be using a team from PvPoke's top performing list, that being Nidoqueen, Umbreon, and Pelipper. Now this team from PvPoke does recommend using Psychic, but I haven't powered my Psychic Umbreon up just yet. I want to save some resources, so I'm just going to be using Last Resort instead. It still does well. Umbreon with Last Resort is just as solid. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this team and these battles, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, getting into this first battle here. We're getting close to climbing up to our rating here. So we have Nidoqueen versus Bastiodon on the lead. Pretty favorable matchup for us. Well, what's difficult about this matchup, and they decide to swap into Sableye right away, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in that Umbreon. Another very positive matchup right here. What's difficult about that Nidoqueen versus Bastiodon matchup is it really relies on you landing that Earth Power. That's very key. You can't just really Poison Fang it down, right? Because it's so bulky and has that steel typing. But in the matchup here versus Umbreon and Sableye, we have a pretty solid matchup. Return still does quite a bit of damage, and I get a bit greedy right here. Now, the foul play, granted, wouldn't have taken them out, but what I'm ultimately trying to do right here is basically do as much damage as I can, taking out the Sableye, while not allowing that Bastiodon to come in and hard farm me for a lot of energy. So I'm going to go ahead and load up a bit more. And then I need to throw right here, but we CMP tie. So I'm going to have to give up a shield. Granted, I think this is just a foul play, which is unfortunate. I could have gotten away with a no shield right there. But I also didn't want them to try to commit to flip the matchup there, because obviously Bastiodon does very well against Pelipper, even though we do have Weather Ball. So we're going to have to sacrifice a shield there. That's from my greediness of over farming, but I think it's still going to be okay. Now we do see a Medicham come in here. So this is a very solid team, Bastiodon, Medicham, and Sableye. So what we can do here is basically, I'm going to swap into the Nidoqueen, and we actually force out the Bastiodon, which is very nice. So what we're going to have to do here is go straight for Earth Power. I need to start getting shields. On top of that, the damage from Bastiodon is resisted. The Smackdowns, the Stone Edge, and we land it. That's absolutely beautiful. The Smackdowns, the Stone Edge, and the Flamethrower all resisted because of our ground typing, which is going to be very nice. So it's not going to do too much damage, and because we landed the Earth Power here, we're going to build up to Earth Power and now start going for Poison Fangs. What this is going to do is it's going to allow me to potentially get a shield from my opponent, which we don't. I could have just landed Earth Power. Or debuff right here, which is going to allow Pelipper to come in and farm down for energy. So we're just going to keep throwing Poison Fangs. The more debuffs I can get on this Bastion and get shields, the better it's going to be for this Pelipper to come in and farm down, right? Even though it's going to be taking super effective damage from Smackdown, we can get quite a bit of energy. Now they swap right away into Medicham, which is perfectly fine with me. I'm going to go ahead and go for a Weather Ball right here. This does neutral damage in the matchup. Medicham does have quite a bit of loaded energy as well, but nothing can one-shot right here. Psychic does a lot of damage. Ice Punch does quite a bit of neutral damage, but we are going to shield the first one, and they do have Ice Punch. So we don't know if they also have Psychic. So what I'm going to do here is hopefully race and get the Weather Ball, but I don't get it in time. Now, I think this is just going to be another Ice Punch, which it is, which now I need to start counting the fast moves and be sure to pull the trigger, which I do right here, before Medicham gets to a third Ice Punch. That's going to be very key. We take out the Medicham, and then Bastiodon is going to be coming back in. We get to the Weather Ball in time, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played. I think this game would have been a little bit cleaner if I didn't have to sacrifice a shield with Umbreon versus Sableye, but that's just from my greediness right there. Alright, moving to this next battle, we have Nidoqueen versus Stunfisk on the lead. A very tough lead matchup because both of us are going to be doing quite a bit of super effective damage with our hardest hitting charge move, that being Earth Power on Nidoqueen and Earthquake on Galarian Stunfisk. So what I'm going to do here is go for Poison Fang first. Sometimes you get the shield, sometimes you don't. In this case, we do get the shield, which is beautiful. Now, I obviously can't get one shot by an Earthquake, so I'm going to go ahead and shield right here, and it's just going to be a Rock Slide. So we both shield baited each other right there. And now I'm going to go for Earth Power. Now, if I had a Pokemon in the back, let's say a Medicham, for example, I would have probably gone for the no shield there because I could come in and farm down a Galarian Stunfisk while having shield advantage. But because I don't have anything that can really farm down, we're going to be very risky here. Now, we did get 2 shields, so I have a 1-0 shield right here, and we do bring in the Umbreon versus the Pidgeot, which is still a pretty nice matchup considering we're a bit ahead on energy. Now, since they have Galarian Stunfisk and a Pidgeot, I'm guessing they're going to have something that counters an Azumarill. That's just kind of what I'm reading. Some of the biggest options that they might have in the back might be something like a Tropius or maybe a Venusaur in the back, which means Pelipper can do pretty well as long as I give it a shield, especially with the Galarian Stunfisk that does have some loaded energy. So we go for the foul place. I'm probably going to be seeing the Galarian Stunfisk come back in. So let's see what they decide to do. Yes, they do decide to come in, so I need it to throw its energy right here because, again, I'm reading a potential Venusaur or Tropius in the back. It makes the most sense when it comes to counters right here, or coverage, I should say. So we need this Galarian Stunfisk to throw its energy, but they're doing a very good job of overloading. That way they have extra energy versus my Pelipper in the back. Now, we got it low enough where we can bring in the Pelipper right here, and a Wing Attacks plus a Weather Ball should be enough to take it out, as long as I time this well. And I also need to have enough energy to potentially one-shot that Grass-type Pokemon that I think is in the back. So we're going to overload a bit on energy. Now, they do throw another Rock Slide, which again is fine, as long as I have an energy advantage versus their final Pokemon. If I'm reading this correctly, we should be looking pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and build up, and now I'm going to throw this Weather Ball. This is going to do enough super effective damage to take out the Galarian Stunfisk right here, and it's going to be a case of what's in the back. And sure enough, it is a Venusaur, so this is going to be a race to the charge move right here, and we do get to it in time on a CMP tie as well. So this is going to be taking out Venusaur, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. Boom! Takes out the Venusaur right there. So again, kind of team reading what they have. We saw Galarian Stunfisk, we saw Pidgeot. They need an answer to an Azumarill, so it's typically going to be a Grass-type Pokemon that can also counter fighters. Alright, so we have Medicham now on the lead. We have to potentially watch out for Ice Punches and Psychics, right? Does a lot of super effective damage because of our Poison Ground typing. But what's great right here is Poison Fangs and Poison Jabs really start to add up. And if we can get this thing low, it's going to be very advantageous for us, especially with an Umbreon in the back where a foul play can take it out. Now we go ahead and shield right there. It is just going to be an Ice Punch, and we're going to throw another Poison Fang right away. I want to put pressure on them, and I'm also thinking about swapping into Pelipper right here. So I do decide to swap. The defense dropped, and we got Medicham to 1 HP right there. Now we do see a Sableye come into this matchup. So again, team reading right here. They have Medicham, they have Sableye. They kind of need an answer to an Azumarill, but on the other hand, both of these Pokemon can handle an Azumarill on their own. They need a better answer to basically a Flyer or a Ghost, etc. So there could be a Galarian Stunfisk, there could be a Bastion on the back, something super thick. So we're going to play to that knowledge of reading that, you know what, maybe there's a Bastion, or maybe there's a Galarian Stunfisk, heck, maybe there's even a Registeel right here. We can safely bring in Umbreon versus the Sableye. It's obviously going to be doing quite a bit of damage if it does have return, but we can gain enough energy right here to be able to have enough to be able to take out whatever's in the back. Or have enough to chip down whatever's in the back. This is also too quick to be a return, so we're just going to let it go. It is going to be a foul play. I'm going to overload to max energy right here, 100 energy, and then I'm going to throw the foul play. Now, if Medicham comes back in, it's going to go down to 1 Snarl. Again, we saw that on the swap. We got extremely low. And sure enough, there is a Bastion on the back. So similar to the first team, and we're going to swap into the Nidoqueen right now because it's a better matchup. But I also need to be concerned about them sack swapping. If they catch an Earthquake on Medicham, or Earth Power on Medicham, that is going to be huge for them. So I need to, and they do decide to swap right there. So they caught the damage from Poison Fang, and they decided to surrender. So good game, very well played to my opponent. All right, moving to this next one, we got Nidoqueen versus Bastion. Again, it's going to be a hard anti-flyer, and we do see a Shadow Victory Bell come in. So I go into the Pelipper right away, but this is actually really risky considering that Razor Leaf is shredding me. I am a Water Flying typing, so I will be taking neutral damage from Razor Leaf. What I should have done is thrown a Poison Fang, then swap into Pelipper and farm down. That way I have Weather Balls versus the Bastion in the back, and I would have to give up a shield. Now we take out the Shadow Victory Bell. And obviously, you guys can kind of see, if we see a Bastion, we see a Shadow Victory Bell, we're guessing it's going to be another Grass in the back, which means Nidoqueen is going to have a very fun time with this team because of Poison Fang, Poison Jab, and Earth Power. So we go ahead and land the Weather Ball right there for a good amount of damage. Bastion doesn't get too much to farm down, and we bring back in the Nidoqueen right here. I want to be putting pressure on shield, so I'm just going to go ahead and go straight for Earth Power. And I'm also going to no shield right here. I still have an Umbreon in the back, which can handle quite a few Grass-type Pokemon because of its bulk and spamming foul plays, right? But we're just going to go straight for Earth Power. I need to start getting shields away from my opponent. And let's see what happens. We land it. Boom. Takes out the Bastion, and there is... I didn't catch that right there. I think it's Blossom. there was a Blossom in the back. So we're just going to throw these Poison Fangs. So Poison Fang, Poison Jab, we're going to be getting shields, defense is dropping, and we're ripping through this right here. So what's great about Nidoqueen is those teams of Bastion, Double Grass. Nidoqueen absolutely handles them. I could have played it a bit better. Like I said at the beginning, throwing a Poison Fang versus the Shadow Victory Belt and then bringing in Pelipper, so that way we farm a ton of energy and can just Weather Ball spam our opponent. And we are going to go ahead and swap into Umbreon. Blossom does have access to Dazzling Gleam, so watch out for that. It will do super effective damage, but with a full health Umbreon, it's not going to be enough to take us out. And we also have a Foul Play ready to go, so this is going to do enough neutral damage, especially with the Poison Fang debuffs that we've had already to take out the Blossom, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. All right, moving into this next one, we have Nidoqueen versus Jellicent on the lead. A very tough matchup right here. We obviously have a nice counter with Umbreon in the back. What I want to try to do is build up to Earth Power and look to throw a Poison Fang to debuff, and then I might look to swap right here. So they are going to go ahead and throw the charge move. It is just going to be a Bubble Beam, so we let that go. And now we're going to build up to that Earth Power and throw the Poison Fang. Again, I'm really hoping for a shield right here. If we do get a shield, things are looking pretty good. We do, so I'm going to go ahead and swap into the Pelipper. This is somewhat of a neutral matchup. And they've already shown that they have Bubble Beam, which means they're going to have Shadow Ball. And since they built up to 5 hexes, I'm going to shield right here, and it is going to be a Shadow Ball. So that's a great catch right there with our shield. Now we have to go for Hurricane right here. If I can get 2 shields out of the way this early in the match, that's going to be huge for a Nidoqueen Umbreon late game sweep. So we're going to go ahead and just throw that Hurricane. We get the Jellicent out of there, which is beautiful. Now Galarian Stunfisk does come in. So this is still going to be a tough matchup, considering how tanky Galarian Stunfisk is. It has Rock Slide for Pelipper, an Earthquake for the Nidoqueen, and it does really well against Umbreon as well. But what's great is Pelipper can't get one-shot by Rock Slide when I have this much HP. So Rock Slide is going to get us low, and Mudshot can't farm us down. So I can go for another Weather Ball right here, and this might be able to force the final shield from our opponent. Again, giving more room to Nidoqueen and Umbreon to sweep endgame. So we go ahead and throw that Weather Ball after a bit of lag. We do get the final shield, so that's beautiful, and they also throw their Rock Slide right here. So I'm going to go ahead and let this go. And then I'm going to look to come in with the Nidoqueen and throw the Earth Power as soon as I can without necessarily needing to shield, because they get to a potential Earthquake, right? So we're just going to throw that Earth Power, get this Galarian Stunfisk out of there. We'll have to see what is going to be in the back. So the final Pokemon is going to be a Scrafty. So this is definitely a very tough Pokemon to be closing out against. But what's great about Nidoqueen is our Poison typing is resisting the Fighting type moves. On top of that, Poison Fang right here really starts ripping apart the Scrafty. Now obviously if we had no shields, this would be very troublesome for us, because they could just throw a Foul Play and then rip apart our Umbreon. But Nidoqueen right here just doesn't care. Nidoqueen is still super strong. It's an incredibly strong pick in the Remix Cup, and it's very strong in Open Great League as well. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. I don't think the Nidoqueen goes down. I think they undercharge it. Yeah, they just undercharge it. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. All right, moving into the next battle here. We have Nidoqueen versus Greedent. Okay, so we don't know what is going to be in the back necessarily on this team, but I know I can probably rip apart this Greedent right here by just stacking a lot of Poison Fangs, right? We're also going to look to no-shield these Body Slams. They didn't build up to Crunch, which is a bit more threatening, especially if it gets that 30% debuff as well, which is unfortunate, but we can just go straight for these Poison Fangs. Now, we do get a shield right away, which I thought was very interesting, considering I didn't really build up to Earth Power. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Umbreon. I'm reading there might actually be a fighter in the back, considering that they have a Greedent on the lead, so I'm wondering if they're running like an ABA line in terms of like a general bulky tank, a fighter, and then a hard like anti-fighter, if that makes sense. So an ABA line. So I really wanted to draw out the fighter right here, but they're not swapping out, which is fine by me. So I can just start going for foul plays because of our Poison Fang debuffs as well. This is going to be doing quite a bit more damage than it originally would have. So we're going to go ahead and just keep building up some energy. I'm going to try to time the amount of health that I let them have in terms of farm down, because again, I'm reading there's a fighter in the back. For them to be able to get enough energy, right? So I don't want a Shadow Machamp to come in, farm me down. Now, if they did have a Shadow Machamp, I don't know why they didn't bring it in. We're going to go ahead and build up to 2 foul plays, and this is a very comfortable range of health for them to be able to take in terms of farming down. So we take out the Greedent. I don't know what's in the back. It's actually going to be a Pelipper, which is fine by me. Pelipper is still going to get quite a bit of damage, or energy, I should say. I need to drink another cup of coffee. But we will swap straight into Nidoqueen and then just go for the Poison Fang right here. What I don't want them to do is have 2 Weather Balls basically loaded from farming down my Umbreon. And I'll be able to put a lot of pressure right here with Poison Jab. So they're going to have to throw their energy. I do have 2 shields still, so I will shield this. And if they have something like a Sableye in the back, that Umbreon with a little bit of health might come in very, very clutch. So we'll have to see what the final Pokemon is going to be. It's going to be a Galarian Stunfisk, so we're going to go ahead and go for a Poison Fang Shield Bait. Obviously, they need to be very concerned about the Earth Power, so this is a gamble if they're going to shield or not. We do get the shield, which is beautiful, and I'm going to race for that Earth Power, but I don't get it in time. All right. This is going to be tricky right here. What we're going to have to do is utilize both our Umbreon, which has quite a bit of energy, and our Pelipper right here to take down the Galarian Stunfisk. Now, thankfully, we got 1 Poison Fang off, which means the Weather Balls are going to be doing more damage, but they have a lot of loaded energy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and shield this Rock Slide. Obviously, we need to be able to throw 1 Weather Ball, and then we're going to look to try to catch and swap into Umbreon. That way, it forces them to have to use their energy because they can't farm us down. So then Pelipper could win the race to the next charge move. Or we get to the foul play in time because they're trying to overcharge or farm us down, which we do. So we swap in the Umbreon, we get the foul play in time, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played to our opponent right there. All right. Moving into the next one, we have Nidoqueen versus Umbreon. So somewhat of a decent matchup for us. And also I need to be concerned about Psychic, right? So I'm actually going to go ahead and do a no shield. Psychic cannot one-shot a Nidoqueen, so I'm not too concerned, but what I don't want to do is be shielding a foul play. It is going to be a Psychic, which does do quite a bit of damage. We're going to go ahead and throw the Poison Fang, and then I'm going to look to potentially swap into my Umbreon to catch the next charge move right here. So we're going to go ahead and just load up on some energy. I'm going to guess they're going to go for a foul play, so I'm going to try to swap. But they don't throw it, and they're deciding to stay in. So this is kind of a tell that maybe they're weak in the back to an Umbreon. And if they have Psychic, they will have foul play, most likely. 9 times out of 10, they're going to have foul play. I don't imagine someone would have Last Resort and Psychic. That would be very interesting. But don't count it out. But obviously, we're going to be resisting all the moves. Now, Last Resort in this matchup obviously does incredibly well because of the neutral damage. But notice that they're not swapping out. Again, you got to read what the players are doing. Now, they could be making a mistake, which they were. They waited and they brought in Shoutcast, which means I have quite a bit of energy right here to put a lot of damage onto it, forcing shields, and I also have Switch Clock coming right back up. So what we're going to do is go for the swap into Nidoqueen, because I'm going to go ahead and go for the Poison Fang right here. This should get another shield from our opponent, and it's going to debuff them. So we got all shields, and they're going to be throwing their energy right here, which is nice. Now my Pelipper can come in and hard farm. They are switch locked right now. Their Umbreon is relatively low and doesn't have too much energy, and I still have 2 shields, so I can easily give up 1 shield versus the Machamp. That way I don't get hit with the Rock Slide, and I can fully commit to this farm down right here to have a lot of loaded energy, because 1 Weather Ball is going to be enough to take out that Umbreon, and we don't know what's in the back. Now they decided to throw Payback, which is perfectly fine by me. We farm down, but they actually swap out and bring in the Umbreon right here. We have that Weather Ball ready to go because we're able to farm so much energy, and that is going to, barely not enough to take it out. So I think I am going to go ahead and commit the shield right here. Pelipper is looking to be the Pokemon to be able to close for me, especially if they bring in the Machamp. So we'll have to see what they decide to do. They decide to bring in the Machamp, which is unfortunate because I can actually fully farm down. And that final Pokemon is going to be a Nidoqueen right here. So we're going to be able to throw 2 Weather Balls, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. So my opponent definitely misplayed in that early mid-game. When I swapped in my Umbreon, they should have brought in the Shadow Machamp right away. They lingered too long, and it gave me a huge advantage to close this game out. But good game, very well played to my opponent. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, testing out teams from the top performing rankings on PvPoke.com. Nidoqueen, Umbreon, Pelipper was pretty solid, had some really nice sets with this team. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.